Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's me, Stacy, and I am going to take me off of the screen here. Welcome to Module 3. Sorry this is getting up a little bit late today, but I had a few unfortunate things that I had to go to this morning. So, anyways, welcome to Module 3. It's all your choice. Before I go in any further, though, I did want to just kind of recap the last module and what we had gone over. We talked a lot about the fixed versus dynamic mindsets, being fixed, thinking that where you are at this moment in time is exactly the only place that you're ever going to get to, versus the dynamic, meaning that this is where we are, this is where you are right now, but that doesn't mean that's where you have to be tomorrow, or that you can't start taking steps every single day to get to where you want to go. And we also talked about the conscious versus unconscious mind, how 95% of our decisions and thoughts are made in the unconscious mind as compared to the 5% in the conscious mind, but that the conscious mind is where we tend to set our goals from, or where we recognize what we want to do from, or where our self-talk comes from. But the self-talk all relates back to what's going on in the unconscious mind. And then finally, we also talked about bound nature. What is bound nature? What is being in bound nature, and what is being in free nature, and what each of those kind of feel like, and that the goal of this program is to get us feeling in free nature as often as possible, and not to make you think that, what, stuff happens in our life, and it can't, um, and we have feelings and we get emotional, and whatever happens, but it's how long it takes us to get back to that even, just even keel, just being like, what, life is good and everything's gonna be okay. So when it comes down to that, that's all a choice. We have a choice to either live in our bound nature or observe it. So today, as you guys go through this program, what's your objective of the program? Um, because really, it doesn't matter where you're coming into this program. Are you wanting to gain financial success? Are you wanting to be able to just be more emotionally stable? Are you wanting to finally start a fitness program and stick to it? Are you wanting healthy relationships? Are you wanting to just try to find peace with something that's gone on, a big event in your life, business success? There's no limit to what you can do with this program. I guarantee that. Um, but to realize that by doing what you put into this is what you're going to get out of it. But if you're doing the exercises, then everything else that normally, you may have self-sabotaged yourself on is going to start to just naturally happen. Because I have people be like, well, look, that takes motivation too. No, just take this, right at the, do the groundwork to get this done. And then you can go on with, it's gonna work. Sorry, I said my daughter walk in here. She didn't realize I was recording this, but um, anyways, like I said, it doesn't matter where you are. There's CEOs of businesses that will go through this program at like the exact same time. Stay-at-home moms, athletes, single moms, people just wanting to lose weight, people wanting to get ahead um, in their life. Just about anyone that goes through this program can and will achieve success. So when it comes down to it, we want to look at our internal reflection. Our external reflection is a mere reflection of what our internal world is talking about. So taking in, looking at these pictures here, if the old guy, if when he looks in the mirror and he sees himself as this young, strikingly handsome dude, then he probably is having this life where you know what? He's happy. He's happy where he's at right now. Um, what is Simpson here? It's muscular. When he looks in the mirror, when he looks internally, this is what's looking back at him. As opposed to, the lady, this is, we're so mean to ourselves, not being happy where we're at. And, that reflection is looking into it. And we just keep beating ourselves up. We're fat, we're ugly, we're not good enough. Babies just exploring and learning what their internal stories are. Starting there, as you can see, he's just kind of curious, like, what's really going on? And then the other one of the girl, looking in there and she feels broken. And it's not that any of us are broken. We just have stories that have been placed in our unconscious mind that we need to rewire in the stories. So what I want you to do is take this video, stop it for a moment, pause it right here, and look in the mirror, at the bottom mirror, and when you look in your reflection, what do you seriously right now in this moment think, feel, and about yourself? What is your opinion of yourself? Where do you see yourself going? Where do you see yourself when you get excited about a goal and then you start onto it? What do you see? So have you go ahead, pause the video, and write that stuff down in your journal. So then going on, there's stuff that has shaped our internal environment. And we've talked about this as, when we were growing up, our cultural and geographical, our social and societal, environmental. And starting with the cultural and geographical shapes our internal environment. So when we look at that, the cultural, it doesn't make anybody right or wrong, and them wrong or them wrong and us right. It just shows us that cultural and geographical differences do exist. What somebody does, I have, there's cultures that are just naturally late to events. And to somebody that has grown up being on time or 5 minutes is early, that's offensive. But when you look at it from, if you can take a step back when those events happen and sit there and be like, you know what, that is what their culture does. That is what they have grown up knowing, and it's not the wrong thing. Same thing as, there's in the Indian tribe, the Moab tribe, I believe it is, that when death to them is a celebration of life, because they believe at birth is, they're like cursed or something. And so once somebody dies, it's a celebration because now they've broken this curse and they can be free and live on. Whereas most Americans will sit there and be like, it's a very sad thing that happens. So, social and societal, a few things that have happened that, have shaped our internal environment, and they may or may not have affected you, but they did affect a lot of people. December 31st, 1999, how many people completely switched what was going on in their life and prepared for Y2K? I mean, there were people that had like beans and water and like all these supplies saved up just in case, and it took them months and months and months to store that up. So that fear was in their mind for that long. December 21st, 2012, when they said the Mayan calendar predicted no other events after this date. There's a large population of people that completely turned their lives upside down. And when it came out to it, everything ended up being okay. But it was social and societal. Depending on where you live, and what your thoughts on the events, it may have been very serious. So, environmental would be verbal and nonverbal influences. What are people telling you? Take, for example, if you always heard growing up, rich people are greedy. Your story may be in your head that you know that it's wrong to have money. You're greedy if you become successful. When if you're a kid daydreaming and you have all these big dreams, and so many times maybe people around you are saying, you know, don't be foolish. When you grow up, you're gonna have to get a job and make some real money, work some real hours instead of pursuing those dreams. Where how many people do we know that have pursued their dreams and they can make money at it? Somebody has to do it. Like, why not be that kid? Why, you know? So that could be another. Don't be foolish. You have to have a serious job. Age. I always think age is just a number. Yeah, some days I feel more my age, but it's all about what I have done um, prior to that day. But so you'll hear a lot of people, oh, just wait till you get my age, you start falling apart. But so then that shapes our internal environment, that just because we're getting old, we have to feel lousy, or we have to start falling apart, or our knees have to hurt, or our shoulders have to hurt. But it doesn't have to be that way, because there are so many, and I don't know if it's one of those conditioning, um, conditioning things is once you see, like, say, take that, when you get a brand new car and you haven't seen it around at all, then once you get it, all you see are these cars, are your car, even in the same color. But anyways, the age is, I've been seeing, I saw one, it was a 92-year-old power or lifter, fitness competitor, and she was 92 years old. So if somebody's done it, that means that everybody can do it. But let that we let the fact that a more majority of people say just wait till you're my age decide what our internal environment is going to be. There's also a 99-year-old record holder in the 100. Granted, there may not be many other people that are running it because they're 99, but she's doing it. She is out there. The fact that there's anybody even running a 100-yard dash. So, um, you know, the thoughts of anything that comes across as a thought that you're worthless, you're inadequate, you're not worth my time. Somebody that's been cheated on or has had an infidelity in a relationship, somebody that's been abandoned. This affects you so much more than what we really truly believe. And it may not be something that comes up all the time, because I'll mention worthless a lot of times and they're like, oh, I feel worthy, I feel this, but your unconscious mind may not. So just go with me on this one. Um, just start to reflect now as you add on to your journaling, starting to reflect on different ways your internal environment. What's your internal environment saying? Or see things that affect your internal environment. And now they should you should start becoming more and more aware of this these events happening in your life. And like, oh, yes, you'll catch it. And be like, that may be something that came from my past. I may be saying this because of something I'm holding on to in my past, and it's stored in our unconscious mind. It doesn't mean that it's being brought to brought up to your conscious mind every single day. For example, take uh, um, a library of encyclopedias. Granted, nobody has them barely anymore, but encyclopedias have all this information stuck up there, and it's all readily available, but it's not like it's popping out and giving you that information every single time you just look up at the books. You actually have to tap in and kind of see what is going on. So the unconscious mind, you may feel any of these environmental thoughts going on, and you just don't believe it. So remember, the influences, which is everything that we just talked about, those leads to our perceptions, which then becomes our habits that we have formed. And always after we formed habits, that's going to become a reality. So if you're somebody who has ever started a fitness program and you ever say, oh, I make it about 6 weeks and then I quit, your habits that you formed, now they become a reality. Even worse, you're planning it already without even giving yourself a chance to go in and say, you know what, but this could be different this time. What if it's different this time? So after our perceptions become the story that we breathe of who we are, what your opportunity level is, of the world that surrounds you, and of your place and potential in the world. Now, at the beginning of this, I stated I don't know why I don't know why you guys are all here. Why did you decide to join this program? We may have talked about a few a few parts of your life that this could enhance, but you may be here for a completely different aspect um, of the program. But I can say one thing: if you had all the money that you needed, if you had the perfect relationship, if you were comfortable and happy and you were in your ideal body, if you felt fantastic all the time and where you wanted it to be, if you had the right amount of time to spend with your family and you were surrounded by just an abundant amount of friends that you felt comfortable around, and there's just really no daily stresses, then you would ask, would you still need to be in this program? And so I can guarantee that something on here is why you are here. And um, so by doing that, we need the information. We need the information, but it's not all about just getting the information. It's actually applying it into your life. Um, so your objective of this program at this point is just to simply become aware of what influences you, what influences you have had in your life that have led you to the beliefs and perceptions you currently have that have formed the habits you pick up, which in turn have created your current reality. And how do we then interpret that from there? Because another thing, this is just another example of how not everything we see, hear, and do is actually what is going on. Because if what the eye actually saw, then we would still be believing that the ground is flat. But we know by looking at it from a different perspective that it's not flat. Vestibular, through our vestibular of what we feel, if we believed exactly what we feel, then we would sit here thinking, whatever, the earth is not spinning. But we know differently than that through research and testing and everything. We know that we're spinning really, really fast. What we hear is how we sense of interpretations of what we hear. Propaganda would work all the time. So you would see a commercial, and every single time you watched it, you would need to go get a Coke or a beer or whatever it may be. Then we also know the touch. If what we simply saw was true, then we would believe that when we touched, that all objects are solid, but we know that they're made up of millions and millions of molecules. Um, so what we see is not necessarily what is actually true. So what I'm saying with that is, just because you don't have the money, friendships, relationships, body that you want right now, doesn't mean that is exactly what is going to happen with the rest of your life. It doesn't mean that there isn't something you can switch, take a look at your life from a different perspective, and you can have the money, have the friends, live happily, live more in bliss every single day. And according to the Vendetta, there's 5 reasons for human suffering. And they are: number one is we don't know who we really are. We lack awareness of what we really want because we've put too much outside pressure on ourselves, which leads into the second one is then we identify ourselves too much with our image or ego. We identify with the fact that we're not as good as so and so is over there, and we haven't lived up to the fact that we don't have any money, stuff like that, whether we want money. So we identify too much with our own image, which makes us not happy. We cling to short-lived things. We cling to the the cars we buy to have a status. We cling to the new clothes because it will help. Smoking because it will take the edge off. Grabbing that um, grabbing that brownie because we worked out in the morning, and we deserve it. And that kind of goes in to attachment of this is ours, this is mine, and so we're not in to lose it would mean that we're going to suffer. But if we weren't attached to like the cars and um, the fears even of stuff, we would be okay with releasing it and letting it go. And the last one is fear of death. And we have a fear of death because we go through life wishing we had so much more and not being happy that we just need a little extra time and we want a little extra time, therefore making it so we fear death. Now, the cool thing is, if we can just find out who you are, if you can find out who you are, then the rest of the list dissipates. Because when we're not lacking awareness of ourselves, we're not living in the identifying with ourselves. We're not clinging to short-lived things. We're not in fear of death because we're just happy where we're at. So what is the ultimate source of success? How do we know when we're successful? Hello, when it all comes down to it, it's happiness. We want to feel happy. And as you go through this program, some of the things that you want now, you may find out that that's not really what you need to make you happy. And so it's okay to release the fact that that goal that you once had or that place you once wanted to be is not really where you want to be anymore. Okay? I think of living in true bliss. And it's when I look at this, I want to think of true bliss as being having that zone moments all the time. And I don't not necessarily all the time, but like I said at the beginning, you have these ups and downs in life, and things throw you for a curveball. But you're able to pull yourself back to normalcy very quickly. And they say chronically happy people tend to be more successful both personally and professionally. But before they were personally and professionally successful, they were happy first. So we have to switch it from the not, you have to first be happy exactly where you are in your life. And it's not after I lose weight, then I'll be happy. Once I get out of debt, I can be happy and do the stuff that I love to do or have time to spend time with family. I will be happy when I find the right relationship. Instead, what if we twist it around and be like, be happy for no reason right where you are currently, and then you'll start to lose the weight. Be happy right now, and then all these ways of making money and financial resources and stuff like that, they'll just come to you. You'll just naturally attract them. Be happy right where you're at now, and the happy right relationship will find you. Not needing any external sources to make you happy, but simply being happy in your own skin. Once you can do that, then you have a lot of control over your mindset. So this is kind of a quick module today. But what I want you to do is continue to dictate journal, adding in at the beginning, becoming more aware of what your internal environment is like. Imagine it as its own little state, and what's it built up to. You go to tropical lands, you go to Hawaii because there's tropical trees. There's palm trees and just like paradise and the ocean. And if you were to go inside your mind right now, in your unconscious mind, what would the surroundings be? Would it be surrounded with negativity, with you're beating up on yourself? Would it be surrounded with um, feeling inadequate or not good enough for others or all this comparative? Or are you already in true bliss? Which, um, so that's what you're going to kind of focus on for the dictate journaling. Then we're going to use the why tool and just kind of you're going to take any goal you have in your life, and I want you just to make a list and write them all down. So writing down every goal. Once you have them written down, you're gonna take one of them at a time, one goal at a time, put it on another piece of paper, and write that goal at the top. And then you're gonna ask, why do I want this? Why is getting this? What is achieving this going to do for me? And then you answer that. And then if you can, you're just going to keep asking yourself, why do I want this? What is this going to add to my life? And then until you get down to maybe a one-word answer. And you're going to do that for every goal that you have. Okay? So do those two goals. And then next week, I'll be getting out the module number 4. We do have question and answer on Facebook tomorrow night at 6 p.m. I'll open it up. Any questions, concerns, confusion that you may have, please bring them onto there. Ask me those questions. Then Thursday, we'll have a live Facebook, no, I'm sorry, not Facebook, Zoom call where you'll actually get a chance to talk with me. But for now, do the homework, put the work in, and reap the results. You know, we're working on the soil right now because we want to have good soil for when we get ready to then go in and figure out what goals you're going to work on when we want to move forward. But we need to work on the soil to begin with. So that's all I have for today, gang. And I look forward to hearing your questions tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.